everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast, brought to you here on a Monday morning, and we do have a Jay McLovin in the house. That is a surprise. How's it going, man?
I am doing well, man. How's everybody doing today?
Good. At least we can understand you.
It's still early.
Yeah.
It's still early in the show.
Yeah, well, shit.
So,
No,
but yeah,
after I talked to you, the Astros have cooled off a little bit. We've been kind of getting beat here a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though because the Mariners are still falling apart. So I think they're 2-8,
Yeah,
7, something like that. Firing the manager did not matter.
Yeah. I just, there are times when I feel like the Astros really want this, and there are times when it just feels like they don't want it, man. And I just can't quite get in that groove with them yet. I don't know.
That's because the Astros have the Dodger curse, where they know their division sucks so bad, where they don't have to try and they're going to win it.
Yeah, and there's a lot to that for sure. I can see that. I mean,
well,
our whole division
I can tell you what, it doesn't matter how bad the Astros are playing. Your Cowboys played worse.
Well, that's true. Probably so. I think you're making me feel better, though, Pags.
In fact, we should talk about that because it was the final weekend of the preseason, and the Cowboys looked like they were in, postseason form. They and it was great because Trey Lance, he's out there, he's playing, and Cowboys fans are highlighting the one run that he had where he scampered down the field to score, and everybody else that has watched football ever in their life are talking about the 5 turnovers, the 5 interceptions he threw. So it's very funny how split the social media is when it comes to the Cowboys. Cowboy fans are like, oh my God, he's amazing. He ran all the way down the field and scored. And everyone else is like, we're not worried about the 5 picks he threw. So, since you're part of that fan base, what's that look like to you?
Yeah, unfortunately, there are times when that fan base will get you in trouble, man. This is just one of those times. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm going to get out of this season exactly what I expect to get out of this season, and that's a lot of pain. I think I think we're in the transitional years of the Dallas Cowboys. That's what I feel like. Yeah. Every team in Texas plays.
Transitioning into.
Damn, it came out. Wow, he said every team in Texas.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think the Houston Texans play bad.
Well, they're 1-2 in their preseason as well. So.
Yeah, they haven't been amazing in preseason. Now they also didn't, play a lot of starters very long, but. That was the hardest thing going into this game going into this weekend is some teams are like, hey, we want to see some of our number ones. And then there were teams that were just, hey, we're doing all of our 3rd and 4th string guys because they got roster cuts this week, right? By Friday, it has to be a 53-man roster. So it was there was some ugly football. We'll put it that way. Some very ugly football because you had some number 1s out there going against number 3s. So some of the teams you're like, oh man, here we go. And then you realize who's on the field and you're just like, oh, never mind. Yeah. Here we go.
Well, that's the way the last week always kind of is, though. It's the last people trying to get those last few roster spots. And so, yeah, you probably will see some ugly football because everybody out there and their mother's trying to make the team.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a weirder look this year because there wasn't the progressive cuts that we've always seen, right? Like when it was the 4 weeks, that first week, they always had like 4 or 5 guys that were gone, and then it was like 10, and then another 10, and then they lop off the last 20 worth week 4, and now they go from 96 to 53 after the 3rd week. They're just like, okay, you have a week to
impress or get out
every cut, and I can't imagine being a GM with that. Like that's got to be brutal to try and do it all in 1 week.
Oh, and get it right, not just to do it, but to get it right. You know,
I mean, you're not going to get it right. Like, you're going to miss on some guys, or you just have too much depth at a position that you're going to end up cutting guys that are going to start for someone else. But it almost seems like you'd be better off to have the progressive, even if the rule doesn't dictate that you do, right? Because, I mean, some of those guys you have to know that first week. You're like, this probably ain't that dude.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because you're going to usually, your instinct should know if he is or is not.
I mean, unless you're in Seahawks practice.
You should have watched already. This point, you should have already watched. I mean, you should have done tons of tape on him, right? I mean, tape, live action. You should have seen everything. Usually, you should have seen everything you need to know on him. Well,
no, I mean, there's going to be plenty of bubble guys that you need more looks at. But after week one, there's 4 or 5 guys you're like, this probably ain't that guy.
Yeah, like Trey Lance. Trey Lance doesn't look like that guy.
He ain't that guy.
But
yeah,
Jerry said he is going to be playing football for the Dallas Cowboys. He might be playing it on that little machine, those old machines that vibrate. But that's
yes.
But that he's definitely going to be on the Dallas Cowboys.
He said Colin Kaepernick's got a better shot of seeing the field.
Ouch.
No, I don't think he does either.
I think they have the same chance, actually. Yeah, no, I don't even know if what we saw of him was good enough to be the vibrating football. Like, I think it's Atari where it was literally just the circles.
Oh, damn.
Hold on. I remember the Atari game, and they looked like little, like
little angry pads running down.
It was a little square with a round.
Exactly, with the square head, because it was all pixelated. So it was the square head and the square body, and
weirdly a really hard game, actually.
Yes, it was very difficult. You know, and everybody else was faster than the guy with the ball. It's the way it worked.
By a lot, too.
Yeah, like you could have been in open space and they were catching you quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that game was brutal to try and actually win. It's fun though. What's happening, Chad? So there are some moves that were significant. One of them was Nick Chubb will start the season on the PUP list. He's going to miss the first 4 games officially. And somehow he restructured his deal so that he only has to be on the active roster, for 12 of the games to get his roster bonus. So, I mean, pretty smart, because everybody else for the roster bonus, you're supposed to be active for all 17 games. And somehow he got his to be 12. So,
oh, wow.
Good for him. But his rehab hasn't gone fast enough to be back on the active roster for week 1. And then KC signs Juju. Yep. So they have yet another receiver. And
does that mean they didn't see enough? And you think Xavier Worthy that they felt they
no, Xavier Worthy's the number 1 on that team without question.
No,
is he really?
Yeah,
Juju's number 3.
He dominated in the preseason. Worthy was ridiculous.
Good, because I chose him in my fantasy draft.
Yeah, Xavier. He had, I think, 126 yards on like 8 catches. I mean, he just freaking made everyone look silly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and Juju is
he's the Rashee Rice insurance policy in case Rashee Rice gets suspended.
Yeah, more or less. That's why I say Juju is like a third option at best. And yeah.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like Pack. I drafted him too.
See, you got someone in here saying stop clickbaiting. What did you list your show as?
Stop clickbaiting. I'm sure he came from me, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Stop clickbaiting my viewers.
Yeah, what?
Get off my page, then. What do you want me to do? What are you talking about? I clickbait. This is a show. It's a sports show.
Damn, Pags. First he calls the downfall of the Phillies. Then he calls it downfall of the Eagles. Now he calls it down.
Hey,
Come on.
it's time to get your nails redone. All right, there, Jay.
I know. When I get money and I can get off the street, I will.
Guys on your page want this to only be one coast, I guess.
Yeah.
So since you brought up the Nick Chubb thing, can we stick with Cleveland for a second? And
Of course.
how long do you think until Cleveland kind of is done with Deshaun Watson, knowing that now he's dealing with a shoulder issue again?
I mean, it has to be this year, right? Because, I mean, at this point, they're going to eat the contract anyway, right? No matter what, it's guaranteed. So, like, they're a host. But they're far enough into it that I think I think if he's terrible, especially if he misses real amounts of time, like, will he be on the roster? Maybe. But because they got to pay him either way. But, I mean, they'll probably be looking for someone else.
Of course. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they got Jameis Winston. They have Jameis Winston as a backup. So, I mean, Winston at least is serviceable enough in that offense.
Is he, though? Because he throws to the other team as much as he throws to his. So, like,
Even though he does, but, I mean, look what Kevin Stefanski did with Joe Flacco.
yeah, but Flacco was never like a monster turnover machine.
Till he joined the Browns and played in a playoff game.
Yeah, playoff game he turned into.
Sure, yeah. Like in moments, but like Winston has done it for a career, right?
I mean,
like,
if you look at
You never know. He could
his,
be turned around, though. You never know.
If you look at his
He
last,
could be
if you look
turned
at
around.
if you look at Jameis Winston's last 16 starts when he was with the New Orleans Saints, he's got 28 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So it's not like he's turning the ball over nearly as much as he did.
yeah. I mean, they're going to have to try something. He is on the roster, so like if Deshaun comes out and is terrible, I mean, they're going to have to go that route anyway.
Yeah, sure as hell seems like it. That's what I was thinking. And that might not be actually be a bad route to go down. You never know. I mean, he could come out there and ball out.
I don't know. Like for me, like there's almost like a kind of a hope that Deshaun is just terrible, just because it just feeds into that Browns can't find a quarterback ever.
Hey,
I mean, the Browns had a quarterback, but they gave up on him too quick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because Baker's done pretty well since he's gone to Tampa.
Yeah, he has played well in Tampa. I can't take that from him at all.
I just think Cleveland gave up. I'm not either, but I just think Cleveland gave up on him too quick. Because he had 3 good years, and then he had 1 year where he got hurt, and then the next year he struggled, and then they said, well, we're going to get rid of you. Well, he's playing well now.
Yeah, that was kind of a dirty deal is, they kind of force him out there to play hurt, and then they're like, oh, you have bad tape, you're out of here. It's like, well, of course he has bad tape. He shouldn't have been on the field to begin with.
well, that's true.
And, I mean, he is the one that brought him to the playoffs after, I forget how many years.
Got a playoff win and actually almost beat Kansas City in Kansas City.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, you can't hate on what he's been able to do. Again, I'm not a Baker believer. He's too inconsistent for me. But, yeah, do I think they might have given up on him too soon? Looking back, sure. Right? At the time, you had to think Deshaun wasn't going to be what we've seen. And, best case, you were thinking he might have been that playoff version of Baker. So,
right.
Good, not great. So then you had that decision of, am I going to pay this guy? We still don't really know if he's good. I mean, because it's not like he didn't have a completely stacked team around him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like I've got Dak Prescott this year on my fantasy league, and I've got Baker Mayfield as my backup. And I'm thinking Baker, he'll have those streaky good games, and I'm hoping that when Dak is on a bye, that I can slide Baker in there, but hopefully get that one good game out of him.
Baker's going to shit the bed that week, right?
Probably. Hey, that. You know what? And damn, you're probably right. I hate you.
Like you'd have been better off to go after like Kirk Cousins or somebody.
You know what? Damn it. And I thought about it too. But I just kept thinking, like, man, he's going to get hurt. I know he's going to get hurt. Penix is going to be right there behind him and we'll be pissed off. That's just the way the narrative is going to play out.
That's a very real thing. That's like, I would have been worried about taking Stafford this year.
Yeah.
Just because he's older. Could he throw for 4,500 yards? No question. Could he get hurt week 3? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, my backup quarterback, my primary quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Because when you take the 10th pick, I took him with my 4th pick. So I had 10 and 11, and then 30 and 31.
Sure.
So I had to take him with my 4th pick. I couldn't trust that a quarterback was going to come back. And because you're taking 10th, you have to get points. So because quarterbacks are your big point earners, I needed to get over 400 points in that category rather than worry about like 350 in that. Here's mine. Now look, I'll give you my team. You tell me how you feel. My quarterback is Mahomes. My backup is Herbert.
Okay, I like that.
Not bad.
My running backs, my starting running backs are Joe Mixon and what's it, Kyren Williams.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, from the Rams.
Yeah.
My receivers are I also have David Montgomery. He's my
Like
third
snacks.
running back. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then my receivers are Moore from the Bears,
Okay.
Devonta Smith from the Eagles, Stephon Diggs from Houston,
Okay.
with backups on that being McLaurin
Okay.
and Williams from Detroit, who was great at the end of the season last year. So he's somebody who's going to wind up sitting on my bench for a while.
Sure.
Dallas Goedert being my tight end, Jake Elliott being my kicker, and my defense. I float my defense to whoever's playing, whoever. I
that's
try to
matching thing.
determine that. So because I actually get a lot of points from my defense from doing that by switching the defense on a weekly basis almost. But I have the Dolphins to start off, which was an automatic pick because I had to leave because I had to get to my NASCAR event.
Oh, gotcha. So
So-
you had an auto pick.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because that would not have been the defense I would have.
No, I in fact I didn't really care for it much either. It was just like the Dolphins of all the places against Jacksonville. I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
I'm probably actually the Vikings are like a terrible pick, at least according to CBS. But they play against the Giants, so
I'd
I'm
take
thinking
it.
about, huh?
I'd take
I
that.
said yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's
Not
who I
too
am
bad.
going to take.
Part of my team though got auto drafted. I joined it kind of late, but I wanted with Prescott, James Cook, Kenny Walker, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Ferguson. That's my tight end. And then I got Nico Collins. And then I got let's see, Bass is my kicker. Texans. That's my defense. And then I got Mayfield, Chubb, Elliott, Lockett, Worthy, and Schultz on my bench. So we shall see.
That feels like that feels like a playoff bubble team.
But you
Yeah,
said
that's what I was
Xavier
feeling.
Worthy. Xavier Worthy is the
Yeah.
number one receiver.
Yeah, he'll be the number one in Kansas City this year because Rashee Rice, they don't know if it's going to get suspended or not. So Worthy is their number one.
Wow, and I wound up taking him in like the 13th round.
Wow.
Yeah,
How
he
did
was
he,
like
how did he fall that far in your league?
we only have a 10-person league, so but
Still.
I mean, so I let maybe it was the 12th round. So, but even still, I was like because my automatic picks because I had to leave like right after the 13th pick. I'm like I got to go. See you guys. For some reason, CBS likes to raise up tight ends higher than they're supposed to be.
Oh,
So-
the best available guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
when you do automatic picks, it starts kicking your ass with tight ends. So
Yes.
I remember I had automatic picks one year and it gave me like 8 tight ends. You know, and I changed my name. I changed my team name that year to to the I got fucked in my tight end.
Right.
um,
That is
but
awesome.
the other two that they took was Zach Ertz and then
Okay.
Henry from New England. And I'm
Okay.
like, are you kidding me? Like, are you really kidding me? Like, I could have chosen, I would have taken 2 quarterbacks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this was the first year that I let my son basically take over my team. Because
Okay.
last year I let him draft for me and make all the in-season trades. He ended up taking second place. So I'm like, you know what? You took second place last year. I'll let you run my team this year. So his first pick was Justin Jefferson. His second pick was Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. Not mad at that.
Then he ended up getting, I think, DJ Moore and DK Metcalf as 2 of his other receivers. He's
Would you
got
believe Justin Jefferson got chosen 19th?
no. My son got him
Really?
5th. My son got him 5th, but yeah, I would not expect him to even be out of the first round at all.
Yeah, that's a real surprise. He made it out of the first round.
Is that more so that the people in your league don't believe that he's going to put up numbers with Sam Darnold?
No, well, there was a little bit of that, but I don't think that really mattered. I think it had more to do with that it was a very heavy running back draft in the beginning.
Really?
So
Okay.
because there were runs on running backs, like it was a lot. Obviously, CMC was first. Yeah, Barkley wound up going, I think, third. And
Henry was probably top 10?
who?
Derrick Henry.
No,
Really?
Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry got way down the list. I want to say he probably didn't go until the 3rd round.
Really?
So there was a good amount of running backs taken first.
Sure.
Then you had a trickle of tight ends, a trickle of quarterbacks. Like I said, I had to take my quarterback with my 4th pick because I wasn't going to get the opportunity. I wasn't going to get a Mahomes or anybody else.
Yeah. You either picked Mahomes there or you got Derek Carr at the end.
Right.
Yeah. I get it.
CJ Stroud, and once that happened, like the quarterback started to go off in round 6, but the wide receivers were after the running backs. So like my first 2 picks, I had to go running back, or else I was going to get screwed out.
Sure.
Yeah.
So and then right after I chose my running backs and went running back, receivers started to make the run. So I think out of the receivers, I mean, the first one was Tyreek Hill, who went in the first round. But then you had in the second round, the next one that went was who was it? That let me see if I can pull up the draft and show you how it went. So
the rest of my son's roster, he ended up with Mahomes as his quarterback, Purdy as his backup. You got Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, Trey Benson as his running backs.
Okay.
Then you got Jefferson, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf as his starting receiver with Hopkins and Judy on his bench. Then he has Dalton Kincaid as his starting tight end with Mike Gesicki as his backup. And he's got Justin Tucker and the Buccaneers defense.
All right. The Bucs defense is, they're all right.
Well, he's one of those players that only keeps the defense for a couple weeks. So he'll play the Buccaneers defense for 4 weeks, and then he'll look on the waiver wire to see what defenses are available after week 4, and then he'll swap it. And the same thing for the kicker with Justin Tucker. The Ravens don't have their bye week until week 14. So essentially, he really doesn't even need to add a second kicker to his roster until basically week 14, and he can find one on the waivers just for that 1 week, place him in there, then drop him right away.
Right.
Yeah.
At that point, somebody stinks bad enough that you could probably, or if they're even a questionable, you could probably put them in IR for that week just to
or you're
roster.
at the point too where you're going to know who's in the playoffs and who's not, so you can just say screw it and I'll just play this week without a kicker.
Yeah.
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 Here was the draft in the first round, and you could tell me how you agree or not disagree. CMC, Bijan, Barkley, Brees Hall, Tyreek Hill, Jonathan Taylor, Gibbs from Detroit, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, and then that's when I went Kyrie Williams and Joe Mixon. And that was the started the second round. Joe Mixon was the first in the second round. Then it was Etienne, St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Nakua, Cook, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jefferson, 19th.
That is crazy. He went as low as
That
he
is
did.
not only that, it's crazy that he was the number 4 wide receiver.
Yeah,
that's
Four.
crazy.
4 more.
it was like
1,
6.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
6.
'Cause I
Six.
think the league that Jay and I are in, I think CeeDee Lamb was the first receiver gone at 4,
Yeah, and I took
Jefferson-
CD at
yeah.
4.
and Jefferson went 5.
Yeah, and
'cause I took-
CeeDee Lamb may not even play the
drafted at
first
4,
2 weeks.
CD.
Or if he does play, he's not going to be really in shape, ready to play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
I
going to
actually
be.
thought I drafted pretty good this draft. I was like, damn. I was like, okay.
So, but yeah, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Nakua, and then Jefferson.
I mean, it's surprising. It's surprising he had that many ahead of him.
Yeah, it's surprising he's a second rounder too.
Exactly. Yeah. Huh. I mean, that's always the thing with drafts, though, right? It's when there's a run on a thing.
Right.
That's why when you were starting to set up for it, it was just like, oh, okay, well, it depends on who is in your league, how the draft goes, right? Because there's those drafts that they start off with a run of quarterbacks. They're just like, okay, we're just going to wipe out the quarterback right out of the beginning. And then there's some that the quarterbacks are, 4th, 5th round. And so, I mean, it's just one of those, you got to feel out what it is your guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, so I went 3 running backs and a quarterback, and then I went 3 wide receivers and a tight end. So those are my first 8 picks. But I believe wide receivers are easier to pick up in free agency, especially in a 10-man league. There's always going to be wide receivers that come out of nowhere and jump up, like Juju Smith. Like everybody's going to pick him up in the week.
Yeah,
4.
that's a guy that people are gonna. Well, they might even pick him up now just to
I
have
won't.
him. But people I could see picking him up now to leave him on their bench for a couple weeks
as a bench
to
guy.
see how he does, and if he's actually performing, then you just take him from your bench and put him in your starting lineup.
Yeah, it's who I think are going to be ones to watch are Carolina Panther receivers.
Okay.
They're going to be the ones to watch because I think their true number 1 is Thielen, and he ain't going to get the ball that much.
No, he won't.
And I kind of feel that everybody stayed away from them. So you're going to see
Leggett.
They probably do, but I don't know. Like when I think of,
They got that one good receiver in Leggett, though.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But there's not going to be anybody who's, it ain't going to be the biggest deal in the world. You know what I mean? Like I feel like
what round did Jordan Love go in your draft?
Jordan Love, I want to say he went like 6th.
Like 6th round?
Yeah.
He went like in the 11th or 12th round in our draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4th, nope. He didn't go in the 5th. Didn't go in the 6th.
So whoever drafted Jordan Love in our
8th
draft,
round. 8th round.
So whoever drafted Jordan Love in our round in the 12th round is going to be very happy they got him that late if he performs well, or they're just going to have a guy that's like, oh well, I only have to play him 1 week.
Yeah.
Where do you see the draft at? How do you go back and review the draft? 'Cause I was trying to figure out how to
For
do
what?
that.
What?
Jay, go to the NFL.com, like your fantasy thing,
Yeah.
and then just do a draft recap, and it should break it down round by round, pick by pick.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's what I just did. So
Okay.
Right.
And the first half of this show is brought to you by BetUS. They help sponsor our network. If you sign up with our show, obviously you get 125% of your first deposit. And of course, here in the Seattle area, True Fusion Gym in Bellevue, Ballard, and University Village. Free 5-day pass if you hit the QR code on the screen. Pilates, boot camp, yoga, hot yoga. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym.
So, Bo, you don't play fantasy, right?
I don't. I do a pick'em championship, but I don't do fantasy. I find I just don't have time, and then I end up just.
Yeah, he's a real douchebag about it too. He'll tell you flat out, "Hey, I got time for you, man. Fuck off."
Yeah, I
That's
know.
what he told me.
Well, at least he answered. I didn't even
That's
answer
exactly
you.
what he told me. So
No,
I didn't even answer you, so shut up.
Yeah, no, straight up. I just know that I don't have time, and so it would be it's like me in a group chat. Like I'm there at first, and then I disappear. Like, that is, that's me playing fantasy. I find I end up not having time, and then I forget about it, and then I pop back in at like week 8, and I make a couple of moves, and then I end up like in the middle of the league. So, it just makes sense to have people that are going to play every week be part of your league.
So, all right, for the other guys that are here, since you guys do have fantasy teams, we should have every Tuesday we announce what our score was from. And
who had the best week.
we'll keep records of who had the best week and who has the best weeks per their team.
Yeah, probably got to do it on Wednesday though, since Jay doesn't like to play on Tuesdays.
That's true.
No, there's a difference. He doesn't like to play with us on Tuesday. He likes to play with other people.
Yeah, well, that's because on Tuesdays, him and Caleb Williams are at the salon, nails
they're
done.
They're at the nail salon.
How dare you?
Hey, maybe it's a different salon. I don't know.
Oh damn! What a time! Man. I don't know.
We should do
this year.
What's that?
Pigs. We should do that. We should do that, Pigs. But then we should also do like what player out of our teams got the most points out of the week, and then what player got the least amount of points.
Yeah.
So
And
do
like
a total team situation.
Yeah, our teams, whoever had the most points out of our teams, so our team score should be like one thing, and then do like a fantasy winner or a fantasy loser of the week, like which one of our teams had like the highest player who had the most amount of points and the lowest player who had the lowest amount of points.
Okay. Sure. You remind me of that later.
Yeah, no, player of the week makes sense, and then having your dog of the week, the guy that came in last.
Because everybody does a little different. I got to imagine too. Like I have a half point per reception.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think our league's 1 point per reception.
Yeah, so
yeah, we play NFL.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't answer whether you do 1 point or 2
I think
points.
it's 1 point per reception, 1 point for every 10 yards.
Yeah, that's what we have.
And then obviously.
And then 20 yards passing for 1 point.
I think ours is 25 for 1 point for passing.
Well, then that gives me the extra half a point.
What do you do for touchdowns, passes? 4?
6.
Okay. For passes, it's 4. Quarterback does not get the full 6 for passing touchdowns in our league. They get 4.
We do 6. We don't care.
Okay.
We want high scoring games. We want it to be like 180 to 170.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Last year, I think most of our games last year were like 130 to 110, just because the quarterback's not getting obviously the full 6 points for the touchdown. They're only getting 4, and then every 100 yards is technically 4 points as opposed to 10 points like a position player.
Right. So there you have it.
There you have it, folks.
So, but and rest in peace, Joe Delisandro or Delisandris from the Ravens. I mean, I wonder how that affects a team.
I know from personal experience, not from like somebody I've known, but look at, was it 5 years ago when Tony Sperano died with the Vikings? Look at how much that affected that team, and just look at how much that affected that offensive line that year. Like, that team went into shambles after Tony Sperano died. And it wasn't just because he was a great offensive line coach. It was just because of the person that he was, like, in the building itself, and just kind of how, like, all the players rallied towards him. I think that's going to have the same effect here in Baltimore, because he was one of their most beloved coaches in that organization.
Yeah.
And he's been coaching them for like 48 years.
Yeah. He's been a part of that organization for 48 years. He's been the offensive line coach for like the last 32 or 33. That's going back to like when they were in Cleveland before they went from Cleveland to Baltimore. So he was like originally with the Browns, and then when they made the move to Baltimore, he followed them over.
What's amazing about that is when you think of coaching changes and GM changes, and that lets you know how much that coach is loved in the building, to have different regimes come through and they're like, yeah, no, you're still our guy.
Yep. And was, if you remember when Brian Billick took over the Ravens after that, I forgot who their original coach was, but when Brian Billick took over, they had a new GM, they had a new owner, they had a new everything. And the owner and the GM wanted to get rid of everybody on the old regime's coaching staff. And Brian Billick's like, you can get rid of everybody but this guy. Like, Brian Billick actually got him to stay, and then basically he handed him off to John Harbaugh, and he's been there since.
That's like Coach Stoutland with the Eagles. They'll never let him go. Yeah. He's more beloved than any other coach, and has gone through like 5 regimes. Mm-hmm. Good offensive line coaches are not easy to find. So.
No, that's for sure. Just look around the league. Offensive line play has just gotten worse and worse. Like, if you can have a guy that's good, you better keep him in-house.
Exactly.
Well, that was like that one offensive coordinator too. I can't remember what team he was for, but he was with the same organization for like 26 years and went through like 5 regime changes in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing that I took notice to is that the Rams granted linebacker Ernest Jones permission to seek a trade.
Yeah.
Now, the season's about to begin, and this guy is like, all right, it's.
What was interesting is he came out in a statement saying he didn't ask for that.
Bullshit. I'm sorry. I had to sneeze.
So here's an exact statement from him in July. I know that the work that I've put in these past 3 years, I know I'm worthy of something, regardless what that worth may be. So he's 24 years old. He had 145 tackles last year, 4.5 sacks, and 14 tackles for a loss. He was a 3rd-round pick, and he's got 3 interceptions in 47 games. The reason why I even mention this is because he does say I never asked for a trade.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really get granted a request to seek a trade unless you ask for it.
I mean, so the thing that's funny, I mean, who knows what actually happened, but there is always some posturing between teams. So, like, if they wanted to trade him, like, sometimes teams come out with statements that,
to put it out there that maybe he's available.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that maybe he wants to go, right? To, like, incentivize a team to maybe, oh, you know what? He could be a good fit here. Let's kick somebody that, we may be getting rid of anyway as part of the deal. There's just always some weird posturing when these things come out, because when they come out, people want them out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The thing that I look at it too is, could this be a situation where he's trying to play for a specific coach?
Like who?
Raheem Morris, who took over Atlanta, who was the Rams defensive coordinator the last 3 years when Ernest Jones was there. And the one thing that Atlanta still needs is pass rushing help.
Maybe.
I mean, if you can finesse your way to a team that you want, obviously you would want to try and do that. But if the team is putting out that you're available for trade, that's usually anybody that's interested. We're looking to get this guy out of the building.
Well, yeah, it's I don't know. I looked at it because I think that the Eagles could still use help at linebacker,
Sure.
and depending on how much money he wants, it sounds like that he is not really trying to get super paid.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see like I mean, they offer. It was a 3rd round pick when they picked him, so I'm thinking maybe you could offer him a 5th.
You could go back and get Hassan Reddick to come back.
No, because what are they going to trade for him? You know,
Yeah.
and let's give you guys back your 5th round pick.
It's the Jets. They do stupid things.
No, maybe we can give him a 6th round pick. Actually, I think they gave us a 3rd.
Give him a 4th and a 5th round pick for Hassan Reddick. Here you go.
Yeah, and then he comes back and he's more of the cancer in the locker room.
Damn. Seahawks trade for a outside linebacker out of the Jags, Travis Gibson, and that one was interesting. I mean, obviously, for the Seahawks, it's good. They need some depth at the position still. But for the Jags, like that's a definite win because that was a free agent signing that they now get a 6th round pick for, where they didn't actually have to use the guy, right? They sign him, they bring him in, they trade him away, they get a 6th round pick out of a guy they haven't spent any money on.
Is CeeDee even? It's like CeeDee, like a guy like CeeDee Lamb. Is he even playing this year right now? I don't even think he got under contract, did he?
Who?
Like CeeDee Lamb, I don't even think he got.
Oh no, his deal. Yeah, he doesn't have a new deal yet.
So I wonder if he'll even be playing this season.
Oh, he'll play. But
CD.
Yeah.
He'll play.
Well, yeah, because he's not going to take. Not going to lose the money. Not going to lose that money.
Exactly.
Bo, what did you think of your trade with the Bears, where the Bears got one of your old, I guess, outside linebackers?
Oh, I didn't see it. Who'd they get?
Oh, gosh. Hold on, let me pull it up. It happened, I think, on Saturday, I want to say, and he had like 23 or 24 career sacks with the Seahawks, so he wasn't like that bad of a player.
I like that the designation is he wasn't that bad.
Well, no, because I had never heard of him before. I had to like look and just kind of look into his stats because I've never heard of him before. Because obviously I don't live out in Seattle, so I don't get a lot of Seahawks games in Wisconsin or whatever.
Sure.
Unless they're playing the Packers or the Vikings or the Bears. But when I was looking at him, like, that's actually not a bad trade. The Bears picked up Darrell Taylor.
Oh, what did we get in return?
Oh, 5th round pick.
Yeah.
A bag of donuts.
Yeah, I mean that seems right. Yeah, that actually makes this Jag pickup make a ton of sense.
Which actually I think helps Chicago now too, because Darrell Taylor's, like I said, he's been pretty productive. He's averaged, I think they said like 6.5 sacks a year since he's gone to Seattle, but now you're going to pair him with Montez Sweat. So you might be looking at a guy that can maybe get the double-digit sacks in Chicago.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
Interesting.
So there's two teams that definitely coming out of the preseason have more questions than the answers, and that is the Giants, who didn't throw for a single touchdown all preseason, which is amazing, and the Steelers, that it didn't matter who was playing quarterback, looked terrible. I don't know that either one of those teams have a clear-cut path forward.
Direction.
I still get the nod to the Steelers though because of Mike Tomlin. Until that guy has a losing season, you cannot bet against him.
So I'm not counting them out. I mean, the defense alone we saw last year can win you 8 games. Like their defense is awesome. The Giants, on the other hand, are hot trash. And so, which week does Drew Lock become your starter? Because
week 1.
Do you want the other?
Week 1, second
thing.
series.
You think he gets the nod after?
I think Daniel Jones gets hurt in week 1. I think how bad that offensive line is going against the Brian Flores defense that blitzes more than any other team in the NFL. I think Daniel Jones is going to get killed in week 1.
I mean, even though he got murdered last year, it took him a while to finally get hurt. Because remember, he had like 3 or 4 different games where he had double-digit sacks against him.
But a lot of those sacks, if you go back and watch it, a lot of those sacks were him like trying to like escape the pocket, and he wasn't taking like too many hard shots. It was a lot of like he's rolling out, he's getting tripped up, or they're just kind of taking him down by the legs. Like against Minnesota, if they blitz as much as they usually do, he's going to be getting blindsided, like beyond endless relentlessness in that game, and it's going to be enough to like knock him out.
So you're saying it'll be fun to watch?
It'll be fun to watch, yeah. Because I look at Minnesota's first 8 games this year. I'm not going to be surprised if that's their only win.
I mean, you always got to appreciate a sack or like a big man touchdown, because you get the celebration that's like the worst dance ever, but it's always hilarious.
Oh my God!
I don't know. They were talking about how the offense for Minnesota is pretty good, actually.
I've been very. I mean, yes, it's preseason, so I don't really take a lot of stock out of it. But I was very impressed with how Minnesota's offense looked in the preseason, because Jefferson did not play at all. Aaron Jones did not play at all. T.J. Hawkinson is out till I think week 9 because of his injury. Jordan Addison played 1 series in the first game and got hurt, and then they took him out. But it was like Tristan Jackson, a guy who was a practice squad player heading into training camp, and now he's the number 3 receiver on that roster. Jaron Hall looked good. Nick Mullins looked good. McCarthy looked good. Darnold looked good.
Yep. Well, and I liked the way that team finished their season on defense. Mm-hmm. Like at the beginning of last year, they were terrible. But as the year went on, they got better and better. And it's a defense that looks like they can be a progression of how it ended last year.
Yeah, now you basically replace Danielle Hunter with Wes Grenard from Houston, which is basically the same type of player, just a couple years younger. And then Minnesota traded up to probably get the best defensive player in the draft last year in Dallas Turner. So now you actually have legitimately 2 outside linebackers that can rush the quarterback. You have Blake Cashman and Andrew Van Ginkel, who you added to play the middle linebacker area. You just traded for Stephon Gilmore, or signed Stephon Gilmore as a free agent. That's going to instantly make that secondary better.
For sure. No, I like what I like the moves that they've made. Obviously, a very tough division, so I don't know if that's going to matter for this particular season. But I mean, it makes you a player in that division instead of just getting steamrolled.
Yeah, I don't think Minnesota is going to make the playoffs. I do think they take last place in that division. But instead of a team that was probably going to be maybe a 5-6 win team, I'm not going to be shocked if they win 8 games and are kind of like one of those teams that if you're battling for that final playoff spot, you're not going to want to face them one of those last couple of weeks of the season, because they can go and beat you and basically knock you out.
Yeah, they feel like that team that you're in a strong enough division, you're going to finish last, but are a scrappy team. But if you were playing in the South, you'd probably be, challenging. Exactly.
And actually, I think Chicago's still going to stink.
I think you're not wrong.
I don't think they're going to be as good as what some people think, but I do think they're going to be good enough to get that final wild card spot. And I don't think it's going to have anything to do with Caleb Williams and that offense. Like, yes, that offense is going to be vastly improved, but it's still going to be Caleb Williams as a rookie. He's still going to have his growing pains. But it's that Bears defense that was the number 1 defense in the NFL the final 6 weeks of the season last year. If they can play at that level, that's ultimately what's going to help them.
I think they are going to look a lot like the Texans last year. I think they're going to win games that they shouldn't. They're going to lose games they shouldn't. and but they're going to be good enough to surprise some people.
Yep.
And I don't know that they get the benefit of being in a terrible division, but I think that they will be. I don't think they're a playoff team, but they're going to be a team that will surprise some people. That being said, I still don't love their offensive line. So
I don't know. I don't like their offensive line either, but I think they're a lot better than what people give them credit for. Because they have Tevin Jenkins, who was a second rounder, but he should have been a first rounder. He's finally 100% healthy. Darnell Wright was their number one pick last year on the right tackle. They have another first rounder that's a right guard. So they have 3 first-round offensive linemen on that team. Then they've kind of filled out the other 2 spots with veterans who have had a lot of success in the past.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to watch that division because it's going to be a dogfight the whole time.
It should be. It should be, but I don't think it's going to be as strong. I think that the Packers are going to start off slow. I think Detroit wins it easily. I think
so
Detroit
too.
wins that division easily. And I actually think Detroit actually winds up with the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah.
That wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah, that would not shock me at all either.
They're just playing too well, and they're too well coached.
They are coached extremely well, and they like their coach.
They're trying to get the playmakers in the right spots to really be effective.
They like their coach. They love playing for their coach. And as odd as some of his press conferences are, and like just some of the things he says, the team basically takes on what he says.
Oh, no question. I mean, they play hard for him. So, I mean, which is great because that's the kind of coach he is, right? I mean, that was the kind of player he was.
When they lose a game, he'll come out and basically say the one area of the game that essentially cost them the game, and then all of a sudden the next week, that's the area where they physically are flawless on.
Yep.
That's good. I mean, they're buying into that system.
Well, he definitely doesn't seem like he has the pointless practices that some he seems like he gets in there and makes you work.
He got fined last year.
Yes.
for doing too many padded practices because he's like, I'm done with this whole pussy non-padded practice shit, and he gave his team too many padded practices last year and got fined for it. He's like, I don't care. We need to hit each other.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Seahawks used to do that with Pete Carroll all the time, especially when he first got there. Yeah. We would get fines and lose draft picks every single year.
He don't give a shit. He's like, no, the only way to get better is if you hit each other. So we're going to hit each other.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good philosophy. I mean, shit.
I mean, nothing's going to get you ready for hitting other than hitting.
Right. 100%. 100%.
Timing your hits, the whole 9 yards, getting your timing down for the hits. I mean, all of that.
I mean, we watched it in preseason game yesterday. I want to say it was the Bronco game, and one of the guys had a nice line to break up a pass, and rather than hit the guy or go for the ball, he just kind of swim moved over him, ends up being a touchdown. And during practice, that, because of how they have to practice, that would have been exactly what a coach would have wanted to see, is that you were in position to make a play, but you swim over it because you're not allowed to hit, all of that. Well, now that just peeked its head in the game. What could have been either an interception or certainly saved a touchdown was an easy touchdown because the ball was actually underthrown. And so then you just see him swim move over, doesn't make a swipe at the ball. And it's like, okay, well, now we're seeing the bad habits of not being allowed to hit in practice during games because people are out of practice of lowering the boom and blowing someone up.
Yep.
I mean, it's a contact sport. Let's make some contact, people.
Hey, that's kind of what I was wondering. Is that where we're going, is to a non-contact sport? I mean, that's what it seems like anyway.
It's going to be in the Olympics.
It is. Yep.
Nobody wants to see that, man.
Don't get me started on that.
I mean, it's going to be better than the breakdancing, I guess. So.
No, I'm talking about the stupid. I'm going to call him stupid because the guy is completely effing stupid. But the quarterback for the United States American flag football team that's going to be in the Olympics basically saying that he's a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, and he doesn't think that Patrick Mahomes should be on the Olympic team because he's never played flag football before. I'm like, are you that effing stupid?
It is ridiculous.
Like, are you that dumb? He could
Yes.
play with one hand and
Yes.
one leg
No
tied behind
question.
his back and still be better than you.
No question that guy is that dumb. Man.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. At all.
No, it's never a dull moment.
It brings us to the top of the show. If you guys have been watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Except for Zenith, he can unsubscribe all he wants. If you are on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. And other than that, we will see you guys tomorrow.
Take care, guys.